Hey everyone, happy 2025. The new year is always a great time to look forward and think about how we can make the 12 months ahead great for ourselves and great in the lives of others. And what's particularly on my mind this January 2025 is the Pittsburgh music scene in the year ahead. And as we look ahead, I think it's a pretty pivotal year in Pittsburgh music. My honest opinion is that 2024 was a down year for our scene, and I'll explain why. So, let me go back to my own personal journey. Since 2005, I have been performing regularly within the Pittsburgh music scene and beyond, of course. But a lot of my time was spent in the Pittsburgh music scene, and I kind of see three eras in that time in those 20 years. First, 2005 to 2012 was one era, and I got to say that the Pittsburgh music scene was pretty dark during that time. Not a lot of exciting stuff going on around here. Won't delve in too much to that, but I will say that when 2012 happened and the years that followed that, it was obviously a big ramp up in the Pittsburgh music scene. It was a decade of growth. 2012 to 2022 was kind of a golden era for us. We saw a lot of great things happening here, radio stations getting behind the Pittsburgh music scene, some festivals popping up, new great bands, new venues, just a lot of great things happening in that 10-year period. And then 2023 and 2024, things noticeably took a turn. And 2024, I think, was a very down year. It was one of the probably most disappointing years that we've had in a long time. Certainly wasn't as bad as that 2005 to 2012 era, but we did take a noticeable downturn. And I wanted to first talk about why that might have been. Things that have occurred that made the year disappointing, because unless we acknowledge those things, we can't improve upon them in the 12 months ahead. So, first thing is that 2024 was an election year. And unfortunately, on social media, we saw a lot of our musicians identify as political pundits. And, instead of sharing their music every day, sometimes multiple times a day, they would be posting these hateful, angry, gross political opinions that in reality did nothing to propel their music forward. It became to the point where people that I identified as musicians, I think of them as amateur political pundits now, because instead of posting their music, they posted their politics. And, there's a lot of talented people. I would love if they posted their music, if they posted videos of themselves singing or playing their instruments, because they're so talented. But instead of doing that, they found it necessary to post these gross political opinions. And now I don't even think of a lot of them as musicians anymore, because they don't talk about their music. So that was one ugly thing that happened in 2024. We also had some pretty major club closings. Cativo, which had, as I understand, been off again, on again with local shows, finally decided to permanently close. So that is a loss. Great to have a club like that in the Lawrenceville neighborhood. So that is a loss. Club Cafe, which had been a host of local shows for decades, that club closed as well. So that is also a major loss. Probably what I think was the biggest gut punch was late in the year, the Hard Rock Cafe, Pittsburgh, of all places, announced that it would be closing its doors effective in February 2025. Man, I personally played a lot of epic historic shows there, including album release parties. So that is a big, big loss. I mean, those 3 venues, that's some serious capacity that the Pittsburgh music scene lost, and it's very disappointing. It's heartbreaking. There was also a program that didn't happen in 2024. This was kind of quiet. I didn't really hear anyone talk about this, but in my opinion, this was arguably the best institutional support for local music that Pittsburgh had, and that is the radio station The X's Hometown for the Holidays program. What they did is they picked 10 bands and played those bands in regular rotation for the entire month of December every year, and it had gone on for 7 years, and they took it very seriously. They had industry experts who did some type of sophisticated voting and ranking of all of these songs that were submitted, and chose the 10 most appropriate songs to be played in regular rotation for an entire month. And wow, that was an awesome program, and it had gone on for 7 years. My band had never been selected, but I still put my support behind that program because I thought it was a wonderful way to support the Pittsburgh music community. Now, that didn't happen this year. The word I got was that it was kind of a 1-year pause. I hope it's not a permanent discontinuation. I hope to see that come back in 2025 because it really was a valuable thing for our music community. So if somehow the powers that be are out there are watching this video, please consider giving that another chance in 2025. Hometown for the Holidays was an excellent program. Also this year, in the past couple of years, we've had a few of our major events through no fault of the organizers get downsized a bit. And, the people that coordinate those events are good people. They have a passion for music. I'm hoping that they can recover from the adversity and build back their events and their concert series back to where they were. They were very valuable. They still are very valuable assets in our Pittsburgh music scene. And let's hope that they can get the snowball rolling in the right direction and grow those events back. Kind of like the biggest disappointment, though, were a lot of the events that did continue suffered from, let's say, less than optimal curation. Some of the acts that were on these events, I don't necessarily were examples of Pittsburgh putting its best foot forward. There were a host of reasons that acts were selected for these events, and unfortunately, I feel like they reverted to old school Pittsburgh nepotism rather than putting the acts on these events that would give the fans the best experience possible. We saw a lot of instances where the organizers' friends were the ones that were put on these stages. We saw tradition play a role. This band has played this stage at this time every year for the past X number of years, so we're going to put them on the same stage at the same time and rehash the same event over and over and over. A lot of the newer curators went to just who they had heard of before rather than really doing research into the acts they had. So sometimes the most familiar acts are not necessarily the most entertaining acts. You just happen to know their names because they've been around for so long, and that's how they go on board. A lot of, hey, this person can scratch my back, so let's put them on my event. A lot of instances of, well, let's give someone else a turn. We got to make sure everyone gets a turn. And if everyone gets a turn, the quality of the event may suffer. There's also a lot of exclusion of acts that could play events because of whether it be their skin color or their sexual orientation or their gender identity. You know, a lot of the politics crept into how events were curated on both extreme sides, and again, that led to events that weren't necessarily the most entertaining acts. So all of these reasons for how bands got selected to be on these events existed, but none of those reasons are who is the most entertaining act for the fans, who will create the best entertainment experience for the fans. That should be, if not at the top of your list, at least up there with how events are curated. So let's hope that that can get corrected in 2025. I know. It sounds like this, Chip, you're doing a lot of complaining here. Why aren't you the change that you want to see in the world? And I am definitely trying in that respect, in addition to being an artist. I did curate Beasts of the Berg. We've had our second annual event this year, and that went great. And that, was an event that I curated based on who is going to create the most entertaining experience for the fans. I would prefer just to perform as an artist, but again, if I see a reason to complain, I could see myself get into more of a role of curation. Some of you who know me and know some things I've been working on, about building a strategic infrastructure for a music scene that may start blossoming in the years ahead. So you may see more of that. But yeah, if I continue to see things that can be improved, I will step in outside of my artist role to try to help, because I do love and care about the Pittsburgh music community, the Pittsburgh music scene, Pittsburgh musicians, Pittsburgh music fans. So I have a passion for making sure that everyone gets the experience that we deserve to build our city here. And I don't want to be a total Debbie Downer and say 2024 was a total waste, because when it comes down to the music, there was good music out there. And I want to point out a few records that really impressed me this year. Eternal Boy. Let's start off with pop punk. I love the pop punk scene. Eternal Boy, great pop punk band, and they released what, in my opinion, one of the most amazing sounding and well-produced records that the Pittsburgh music scene has ever heard. Also in the pop punk realm, we had Midnight Lights releasing an album this year. The production may not have been quite to the level of Eternal Boys, but songwriting may have actually been better. Noah Myers, young dude, great musician, put out a heck of a creative record this year. Like, I listened to it and I'm like, is this guy Eminem? Is he Jimi Hendrix? Is he Ronnie Radke? Is he a combination of all three? Super creative record. Recommend looking that up. Post Traumatic. They're based in Indiana, Pennsylvania, but they do play enough in Pittsburgh to be a part of our scene, that we welcome our brothers and sisters with open arms. They put out a real creative record. As I listen to that, I'm hearing Old Motley Crue. I'm hearing stuff that could be like on the next Interrupters album. Very creative album. Dream the Heavy, they put out a new record this year. Their song Until Tomorrow may have been my favorite Pittsburgh music scene song of 2024. Poster Child put out an album this year. I have been watching closely their singer Gibson Musisco. I think he's a phenomenal songwriter, very young guy, and the melodies he comes up with are mind-blowingly awesome. And his parents are both supremely talented musicians, so it's no surprise that he's talented, but he brings something to the table with his songwriting that you don't hear every day. So I've watched him. Another good melody writer is the dude from the Ghost Club. They put out a new album this year, so that's worth checking out. If that kind of like indie rock is your bag. Also, you know, I think it's important to acknowledge the traditions that have persisted in the Pittsburgh music scene. The Iron City Rocks Pittsburgh Music Awards, that's coming back for, I think it's, 13th, 14th year, something like that. A valuable tradition that exists in the Pittsburgh music scene. Of course, our radio stations are awesome at promoting original music. DVE continues to put local music into regular rotation. The X, every weeknight on Edge of the X, they play 2 local bands. 97.7 The Rock Station. This is also another enduring tradition with their grassroots show. Every Sunday, it's like clockwork. That has been a gem of our scene. We've seen 95.7 The Beaver emerge. Scott Tatey, a longtime supporter of Pittsburgh music, has taken over that morning show, plays a lot of original local rock and country too. And our club scene, despite some losses, has some really good venues that I hope Pittsburgh continues to support. Mr. Small's Funhouse, premium venue. Love that organization. They have the Funhouse, they have the cafe, they have the theater. The Funhouse is kind of like a home base for a lot of local bands, and you know, just another gem that I hope is appreciated by the Pittsburgh music scene. You know, with Cativo and Club Cafe and Hard Rock Cafe closing, there's no reason for the Funhouse to be empty on any weekend this year, and so forth. Bottle Rocket is a newer venue, and that's a pretty cool place, and I hope to see that grow. You know, we continue to have our summer festivals, which are gems. When I talk about 2005 to 2012, we didn't have summer festivals in Pittsburgh then. 2012 and to 2015-ish, we had some festivals that came and went. The Rock All Night Tour, the Strip District Music Festival, very short-lived, but they set the stage for what became the Northside Music Festival and Millville Music Festival. Great events. These are gems, and it is scary to think that we didn't have Millville Music Festival or Northside Music Festival at one time in our history, and it's scary to think that that could happen again. So I love those festivals and the others like it. Too many to mention, but you know, we got to support those because I've seen the scene without them, and it's a dark place. So let's enjoy the light of those festivals. So that's kind of my recap. 2024, a down year, but we still have a strong foundation that we can build on and hopefully grow from. You know, let's hope that this is just one of the small dips in the roller coaster, and that we got a big Phantom's Revenge size hill to climb in the year ahead. So, wishing everyone a happy new year. Pittsburgh music community, let's pull together. Let's have a great year. Let's get the most entertaining acts on our stages, and let's entertain the fans. Let's give the fans something to be excited about, something to have them come back for. Not only year after year to festivals, but week after week to the venues that we do have remaining. So let me know what you think in the comments, and let's make 2025 an excellent year for Pittsburgh music.